In today's video, I'm gonna be sharing with you how a few lessons that I learned in my local barbershop not only got me this crazy facial hair, but also changed the way that I think about hospitality in our company, our employee culture. And I'm gonna give you 2 points of application that you can take and implement in your business today that will guarantee success this year and the year to come.
You're listening to the Venue RX podcast.
What's up, everyone? My name is Jonathan, host here at the Venue RX podcast. And on this show, we are passionate about documenting and sharing best practices around owning, operating, and managing world-class wedding venues. We really believe that wedding venue education should be available for everyone, and we want to provide the resources here so that you can continue to grow your business. Now, we've talked to so many incredible venue owners on the Venue Owner series. That has been the most fun. In fact, if you are a venue owner listening to this and you'd like to come on the show, please send us an email at, it's just thevenuerx@gmail.com. And we also have a website that you can check out. It's just thevenuerx.com. And you can check out all the different episodes and shows that we do. But if you're a venue owner, we'd love to have you on the show. That aside though, if you are a newcomer or returning listener to this show or viewer on YouTube, I would absolutely love if you would share this with someone who you know might get some benefit out of it, and consider rating and reviewing the show. We don't run any ads on the show or anything like that, so the only way we grow really is for word of mouth and people sharing what we do. All right, let's get into today's episode. So the story I have for you today comes from a situation that actually happened to me yesterday. I needed a haircut, hair was getting a little long, facial hair was getting a little crazy, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna go in really quick and get a quick trim up. Well, I go in there and immediately something hit me, right? It wasn't necessarily any one thing specifically. It was kind of everything all together. It was the culture that was there, right? And we've been there before, my boys and I sat down in the chair, but I immediately noticed there were a couple guys who were just kind of sitting there lounging, kind of laying back in their chairs, just hanging out, relaxing. And I said, hey, I'm just walking in today. And they kind of looked around and said, oh, who wants him? And so I walked over, was getting my hair cut, and I'm hearing these guys launch in, and they were talking about all sorts of crazy stuff, doing drugs, they got super drunk and went and beat someone up who stole money from them, and like all of this stuff. And then they move on to share about how they had an appointment scheduled and they canceled on the appointment 5 or 10 minutes before the appointment was supposed to be there. They were like going off on all these different things. And I'm sitting there going, oh my God, what the hell? Like, you will never be successful as a business person or in life if you don't know how to take care of your clients, right? And if you take it in such a cavalier way where you're not putting their needs first, you're actively looking for ways to, not give them incredible experiences. And I thought about it and I'm like, oh my gosh, how does a place like this continue to stay open? As all this was happening, sure enough, the owner walks in. And I was like, okay, for sure, these guys are gonna clean it up. The owner's here. He walks in and nothing changed. The guys were still joking, the guys were still talking, and they kind of cleaned it up a little bit maybe, I thought, but the owner comes in and he was kind of joking with them a little bit too, and it was very casual and it was very laid back, and they didn't talk about, inconveniencing customers at that point, but they were still carrying on with everything else, the conversations they were having. And in that moment, I realized one thing: I will never be able to go back to that barbershop ever again. And the reason for this is my willingness to tolerate mediocrity in any of the concentric circles that are a part of my life. And I think each one of us have these, right? We have our core people, our people who are connected to us, or maybe our family, our close friends, maybe employees that we're really close with, right? They're in our core network. And then as the circle gets wider around us, right? We have people who are starting to be acquaintances, people we see occasionally, all these different people who exist somewhere in our ecosystem. And I realized that the more that I'm willing to tolerate mediocrity and average behavior in any of those circles, the more my life will be mediocre itself. And so as a business leader, I don't want that in my life. And I felt so passionately about that in that moment. I was like, I just can't come back here anymore. But then I also started thinking about a couple other things. And I think this is where the rubber really hits the road for us as venue owners, venue managers, for any of us if we're in the venue industry, any service business really, or hospitality. What I realized was you had all these guys in there who were encouraging and promoting a certain style of behavior, a certain lifestyle, certain choices. And if you were a barber that was looking for a job in that barbershop, they would, just by basic herd mentality, would have to like pull you along with them, or they would have to ostracize you and like ignore you and get you away from them if your value system didn't align with theirs. I think specifically as it applies to culture and hospitality and your business, you as a business leader have to realize that the tone that you set for your employees, it's gonna get watered down, but you're gonna end up controlling the tone that your employees in your workplace has. You're gonna end up controlling the culture. That's one of the biggest pieces that you have as a leader. So leaders of teams control subculture, right? And then there are leaders who kind of set the culture as a whole, but there always is subculture. And so that business owner decided that he was okay with allowing the type of environment that was created there. And so when you walked in there, you got hit by the culture. You got hit by the music choices and by the words that everyone was choosing to use and by the colors and the sounds and the smells, everything all together, right? But that business owner chose it because he chose to allow it. We may not think that we're making the choices for everyone in our organization. By not confronting negative behavior that you see, you are choosing that for your organization. You're choosing to put your stamp of approval on it because you're not correcting it. I'm bringing all this to you today and talking specifically about culture and hospitality because the application is very, very important. See, once you start to let things slip with your culture, you allow a subculture to exist inside your organization that tolerates mediocrity, that tolerates, not giving great service to your clients, that tolerates an attitude of complaining about your clients. There is, I think, an ease to complaining about people in our industry because people suck, right? A lot of times people suck, including me, including everyone else. Like, we all have those bad days. We are human, we are flawed. And so when you put a bunch of people together in an event like a wedding, or just in a big event, and you add in alcohol, and you add in family members you haven't seen in a while, all of a sudden you create this crazy dynamic where the worst in humanity can come out as well as the best. And so if you're the type of business leader that allows and tolerates the complaining, and maybe even joins in, you're showcasing to your team that complaining is okay. And when you show them that, they will realize that complaining is okay about the other vendors, the couples that they serve, and then that is going to take away from the genuine nature of the hospitality and the customer service that you provide at your venue. So I want you to remember two things from this video today. Number one is your ability to live the type of culture that you want will be more powerful than any words you say, any mission statement you have, any vision statement, any values you set, and anything that you say to your team. Any leadership that you try to provide them verbally will pale in comparison to the type of behavior that they see you acting on a daily basis with other people in your network. Your example is going to be much more powerful than your words. So that's point number one. Point number two here is setting an incredible culture is not just about walking the walk yourself, but it's about holding the team accountable and having the difficult conversations with your team to make sure that you keep bringing them back to center. The more you allow things, and by the way, you're allowing it if you're not addressing it, the more you allow things in your organization, the more you allow complaining, the more you allow lack of integrity, even if it's tiny, tiny little ways, it's gonna creep in closer and closer to home and eventually create an environment that you're not proud of, that's not serving your guests. And this is important. I mean, this is foundational to running an incredible business, running a business that people are talking about, that they're referring other people to, and that's the business that we all want, right? And I realized as a part of this that barbershop didn't start out that way. That barbershop, the state that it was in, was an amalgamation of weeks and months and probably years of this business owner not course correcting, not providing accountability. And so if you're a business leader today, or if you are inside an organization that is tolerating any of this negative stuff, you have to decide, am I willing to be a part of this? Am I willing to allow this in my ecosystem? And if you're an employee inside of an environment like this, you need to decide, do I want to go and be inside of this negative organization every single day? Or do I want to be a part of an organization that's really pushing to be excellent? And I know that that's what I want for our organization. I want us to be excellent. So anyway, all this to say, two different elements. First, you have to set the example for your team. You've got to walk the walk. You can't just talk the talk, right? But talking the talk and setting that out there is very important, but you've got to walk it. Your actions have to map your words. And then number two, you've got to keep people accountable. You must focus on the accountability and bringing people back to center. And if the pinpoint is here, right, and someone drags it over here, you gotta bring it back. That is your role as a leader. And this works in venues, this works in any hospitality business, this works in any business in general, I think. I hope this video has been valuable for you today. Please share it with a friend. If you got something from it and if you feel like maybe there's someone else who could benefit from it as well. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Please comment below and consider subscribing and sharing, like I said before, but subscribe. If you're not subscribed already, please subscribe. If you're listening to this on audio, check us out on YouTube. We've got a bunch of stuff kind of broken down differently. You get to see my face, my crazy handlebar mustache now, and we'll see you all in the next video.